Greetings. I am Dr. Noni Davis, coming to you from Durham, North Carolina, here at St. C Academy. And I am a legacy owner of St. C Academy. I inherited this school from my parents, the late William Edward Davis, and my mother, Sylvia Davis, who is still with us. And we're generational because I am passing it on to my daughter and my daughter-in-law right now, who are also working here with me, and got a great staff, and I'm very excited about that. But today, I wanted to talk a little bit about Burkina Faso. I've been trying to keep up in the news what's going on over there and the significance of it. Um, we have a legacy African um, uh, revolutionary who seems to be walking in the path of previous um, a revolutionary in Burkina Faso, Thomas Sankara. And today we have Ibrahim Touré. So, for those who may not have been keeping up, who is Ibrahim Touré? Well, many people around the world have become enthralled with this young man because he is the youngest president on the continent of Africa right now, and he's actually the second youngest um, elected leader in, well, presidential leader. I'm gonna put it that way because he wasn't elected; it was a coup. Anyway, presidential leader in the world right now, and he's a captain in the military. So Captain Traore is the interim president of Burkina Faso. He was born on March 14th, 1988, in Kera, Burkina Faso. And he graduated from the University of Ouagadougou with a degree in geology, and he was an honors graduate. Uh, he joined the Burkina Faso military. It's called Burkinabe Army in 2009, and graduated from the George's Namoano Military Academy. He received the rank of captain in 2020, and after participating in several military tours to Timbuktu, the Mali War, and he's also fighting jihadists, and he had to fight jihadists, and also he was part of peacekeeping forces. So in 2022, he, with the assistance of several other uh, military folks, decided that they were going to do a coup. And, and what's crazy, this young man is just amazing. So this is him. He is 37 years old. I don't know, my laptop is not working, but this is Ibrahim Touré, and you can see he's just a baby, 37 years old. Uh, and let's see. Oh, I think it fell out. Let me see if I can get that back. Sorry. And so Burkina Faso is let's see, is located here. You can see Burkina Faso. It's landlocked, but it's right there between Mali, Niger, let's see, Benin and Togo, Ghana, Ivory Coast, and there's Mali at the top, Timbuktu. And so this area has a lot of maybe I'll do that the next time. I've heard a lot of things about Burkina Faso. I mean, they are not a group of people to be played with. So spiritually, they're a very powerful nation. And so with the assistance of other military young men, they decided that excuse me. Oh, sorry, y'all. Let me move this. I apologize. This is hanging over. This is a cord. I didn't even notice it until just now. Hanging behind me. Some electrical cord. And so, anyway, they decided that they were tired of and they were frustrated with the administration, and so they decided, you know what, you all, he's not providing enough equipment for people, and so they can't farm adequately. He's letting all these foreigners come in here and run the country and steal all the resources, because they love to say Africa is poor, but if all my gold is going to you and you have decided that gold is valuable, but you don't have any gold in your country, you taking my gold. How am I poor? If you're taking all of the resources from my country, how am I poor? You don't have them. So who's really poor? But anyway, he was just tired of the corruption and all of that. And so he staged a coup and decided that, hey, you got to go. And so he ousted President Paul Honi Sandaoga Damiba, because he was frustrated. They were just frustrated with the government's inability, to even defeat or stand up against insurgencies, and there was just so much corruption. He said, "Yeah, you got to go." So he has gained worldwide recognition because of his interactions with other African leaders, but mostly his response to European leaders. And he also did the no thing, and Europeans go crazy over, and that's he made created alliances with Russia. Um, Now, what he has done that is fascinating is that he created a state-owned mining company, and so instead of Europeans coming in and doing all of the mining and control of the all of those resources, he said we're going to do state-owned, and which are and before it in the Burkina Faso only had a small percentage of the revenue from these mining companies, but he changed it. So now, in order for them to participate, they have to surrender 15. Each one has to give 15% stake to Burkina Faso for if they want to invest. So you can't come in with this 100% that you were doing before. You have to give them a portion of what you're doing, and you also have to train people from Burkina Faso to do the work. So you're not coming in with your own laborers. You're going to teach these people, going to be trained so that they have complete autonomy over what's going on. And he also revoked exploration licenses, so they can't come into the country and say, "Hey, we want to see how many if you got any gold over here." They're like, "No, if there's some gold over there, we'll find it, and we are going to mine our own stuff, and we're going to explore it ourselves." And so he has advocated the takeover of gold mines owned by Europeans. And we see that this is kind of spreading, because that's one of the things that they're upset about, is that the British, the French, and all of these people are upset about, because he has set an example. And these other African leaders now are like, I think Ghana just said, that Europeans can no longer participate in gold extraction or in the gold market in Ghana, so they can only buy from Ghanaians. They can't participate in it anymore, and I just love it. One of the things he said at this African summit, Russia African summit in 2023, was to to African leaders, was stop behaving like puppets who dance every time the imperialists pull the string. And this quote jarred, it sent waves of dissent and disruption, and what just unnerved these these European nations. So this country has significant deposits of gold, and I'm going to show you. Okay, we all know what gold looks like, but do we know? They have zinc. Okay, so let me pull that up. Zinc. Let's see. Where is the zinc? So I don't know how many of you know this periodic table, but it's crazy how much stuff is in uh, Burkina Faso. Let's see. They have zinc, and zinc is a protective coat for iron and steel, brass, and other alloys. Where is the zinc? Oh, there it is. So this is a picture of zinc. All right, and so this they're extracting zinc. They have copper, and we all know what copper is for. Copper is for like is a conductor of electricity, and so it's wire and yeah, electrical conductor. They have that. They have manganese. Let's see, manganese. Where is the manganese? I have that picture too. No, that's vanadium. Manganese. That's a zinc. That's a phosphate. They got so much stuff it don't make no sense. That's nickel, bauxite. Is this manganese? Okay, so this is manganese. And manganese is used in steel, and it improves the toughness and resistance to wear. And they use it in dry cell batteries. So that's the manganese. And then you have uh, phosphates. And where did I see the phosphates? That's what no, that's the nickel. That's the zinc. Vanadium. Okay, I don't see all the ones I think. So I'm just going to show you this one. This is vanadium. Vanadium is what did they do with vanadium? Strengthen steel alloys. It's a catalyst in chemical processes. And of course, we know about nickel. Nickel is also found in where is the nickel? That's the zinc. Vanadium. Oh, that's the copper. Oh, limestone. You know, limestone is used. We use limestone for construction. And so most of the buildings and stuff like that, the roads, all of that is made out of that. You've got the, this is the phosphate. Phosphate is used in fertilizers and food additives. You've got bauxite. Bauxite is what a lot of the buildings, roads, a lot of infrastructure stuff. Uh, yeah, these high-rise buildings, a lot of them are made have that bauxite. And we already know diamonds are not only valuable for rings, but they also are in lasers and stuff like that. And then you have nickel. This also helps with. This is just a picture of the nickel, and it's also found in steel and batteries and stuff like this. So, and then Burkina Faso is the fourth largest producer of gold in Africa. And in addition to all of these um, uh, uh, periodic table elements, because zinc, copper, manganese, phosphate, limestone, diamonds, bauxite, all of these things, well, but not diamonds are not on the periodic table, but we know they're made from carbon, so that's on the periodic table. And so vanadium, all of these things are on the periodic table, and they are in abundance in Burkina Faso. And they also, in addition to that, they have arable land, and so they're great, high production of cotton, sorghum, millet, maize, which is like corn, peanuts, and rice. And they also have shea nuts and sesame, which is a main crop, and sugarcane. And we know these are products that are part of the industry where in every part of the country, or every part of the world, really. And so this is the problem. You have 75% plus of these resources are being exported out of Burkina Faso, and only 20% were invested in the people of Burkina Faso. So they're losing, it's over 75%, almost 80% of their stuff is leaving their country, and they're not getting any benefit from the products that are in their natural resources. And so the West, the Europeans and Arabs, and because that's the jihadist people, are constantly creating instability in Africa, African countries, in order to maximize access to these resources. So much of the West and Asia do not want a leader like Captain Traore to rule, and many believe that Captain Traore is also, he has a lot of similarities to a former leader, Thomas Sankara. Now, Thomas Sankara uh, was born December 21st, and this is Thomas Sankara. He's a handsome guy. Thomas Sankara was born in 1949 in Yako, Burkina Faso, on December 21st. Yeah. And he was assassinated on October 15th, 1987. He too was a Pan Africanist and who served as president of Burkina Faso from 1983 to 1987. So what is that? 84, 85, 86, 87. So he was in power for 4 years. And he was 34 years old. So he was another one who was a very young person when he became president. And he was considered radical because he wanted Africa for the Africans. And so some of the things that he did that was interesting is that he was a proponent of women's rights. He banned genital mutilation and forced marriages. He instated abortion so women could get abortions, and it was no longer against the law for that. Um, he allowed women to serve in his administration, and so this is in the 80s. So he was pretty progressive. He created the Ministry of Family Development and the Union of Burkina Women. He also initiated programs to improve healthcare and education and infrastructure. He built community participation or stimulated community cooperation in the construction of schools and hospitals and medical facilities. He launched a national literacy program and prioritized affordable housing. So the things that Americans need: quality education, quality health care, better schools, of course, and food security. He also created affordable housing and food security for his people. So he was an anti-imperialist and wanted Burkina Faso to be self-governing and self-determined, pretty much. And he wanted to diminish the reliance on foreign aid, and he also refused to be um, reduce the reliance on financial aid. Now, another thing he refused to do is be elevated. So instead of letting them make pictures of him and have all these parades and stuff for him, he said, "Look, I am one of there are thousands of Thomas Sankaras throughout Burkina Faso. I'm a regular guy, just doing what I can to make things better in my country." So he was not trying to get wealthy. He had no, and which made him even more dangerous, I guess, for the West, because that means he wasn't tempted by money, and was saw himself as part of his community and not above his community. He was a seeker of justice, and he was anti-corruption. He modeled organizations after the Cuban Revolution. One of them was called Committees for the Defense of the Revolution, which was created to promote accountability. So he also was making sure that these aristocrats and people who were installed in the government were focused on the needs of Africans and not looking out for the interests of the Europeans. And this put him in a lot of conflict with them. the middle class and tribal leaders and foreign governments resisted Sankar's efforts, which led to his assassination. But like Sankara, Traore is trying to remove foreign dominance from Burkina Faso. So this is what he has done. He has expelled French troops from his country. He removed his people from ECOWAS, which was a coalition among several African countries, but they were still kowtowing to Europeans, and so he said, "We're not going to be a part of this anymore." And so he formed an alliance with Mali and Niger, and so they have their own coalition now. He rejected international loans from IMF and the World Bank. Now, he also, like Sankara, said, I'm not going to have this exorbitant salary. He is receiving the same pay he did as a captain in the Burkina Faso military. So, which is a modest income compared to president. But, in Africa, I think they said the president is making $76,000. While we might think that's not a lot of money, and there you're like a millionaire, the equivalent of a millionaire or a billionaire almost, in some of these African nations. And so he said, I don't want that salary. I want to just I'll keep the salary I have, and I'm good. He's improving agriculture by boosting crop production and developing processing plants. He's constructed new roads. He's got a Thomas Sankara Airport that's being created. I'm trying to think what else did I have here. Um, he has reduced the salaries of government. I thought this was funny, of government ministers. So you can just imagine if we went and reduced the salary of our senators and our congressmen, and he raised the income or the wages of the civil servants. I thought that's great. He banned foreign ownership of land. So foreigners can no longer own land in Burkina Faso, which is great. I know in there are other countries, Liberia is another one. You can't own land if you're not a citizen or African. He also mobilized volunteers for the defense of the homeland to combat jihadist groups. He removed French as the national language. So now people have to speak their own language in these institutions. He changed the school uniforms. I mean, if I've been to Africa a couple of times now, just two. I'm not going to over exaggerate, but you always see the children in these Western uniforms. They're wearing, these little outfits that were made over there, and he said, nope. We're going back to African attire, which is great because they can design their own stuff, and that's going to stimulate the economy because kids have to have uniforms, and so now they're wearing their own stuff. He had them strip remove the wigs. You know how they wore those white powdered wigs, and following the colonial practice. And so now they have removed the wigs and the drapings of the African of Europeans. No, yeah, they removed the clothing of the Europeans. So if you go to court now, if you're a judge, if you're in any kind of judicial leadership, you have to appear before the people in African garb. So for court proceedings and stuff, he changed the name of streets. He changed the name of the buildings and put them in the names of African leaders, male and female. And so, like Sankara, Traore is making excellent progress in the 3 years he has been in office. His vision is Pan-African, And he has also extended an invitation to the African diaspora um, for citizenship. And we as African people are ready for Africa to rise. And we need them to cast off the Western governments, which cannot survive without Africa's natural resources. They have to go. And America, KKK, America needs to get in line too. They need to get out, leave these people alone. And I think that it's ripe. The environment is finally ripe for this pushback because African Americans have, because of social media, I remember when we started the school 29 years ago, you still had a lot of people. You had a very small community that was like African centered, and we were hoteps and folks who, y'all just talk about Africa all the time and everything. But with social media, you've seen an expansion of that. And people may not be so much hotep, but they're definitely interested in their own historical value as African Americans. People are embracing being African. You still have this community that, like ADOS, that wants to African descendants of slaves. But one of the problems with that is that we are starting our history as slaves in this country, and we need to be able to go back and see and acknowledge our relationship. These are our ancestors. This is our bloodline that came over on these ships, and we should not ignore it. And we may not know who we are. I've been blessed to be able to take this ancestry africanancestry.com and find out that I have Fulani, Mende, Temna, and Kru ancestors, which are from Guinea-Bissau to Sierra Leone and Liberia. Those are my folks in that area. And it's also interesting because I have been told for 20 years, at least 20 years ago, that people thought I was Fulani. If they saw me dressed in my African attire, oh, like, oh, you're a Fulani lady. So it was so crazy to find out that I actually am, that was very true. My ancestry pointed me back to that. So we can identify the groups. We may not know the family name. We may not know the exact location of where in Guinea-Bissau or where in Sierra Leone. But if you are Fulani from there's a very strong possibility that you can find that I can find my people. And Mende, I know I'm Mende, but I just don't know what my family's name was. But we need to maintain these connections, and because we've been disparaged around the world. We've been accused of being the most violent people on the planet, where we have never committed genocide against nations of people. There's no history of us engaged in wars, and to the degree that that were outside of our borders. We were fighting with people whose borders we were sharing. But to leave and go and fight other people, and then we also came up with Ma'at, which is an Ubuntu. I am because we are. We are because you are, or whatever. I am you. There's a community, and then Ma'at has all of these admonitions for how to interact with each other. And so we've always been about community. And so for this young man, we have to pray for this young man's protection. We pray he remains humble. We pray his ancestors and the spirit of Sankara surround him and keep him safe from jihadists and European militias, and of course these African elite who are greedy and will sell their mama for $1. And so, and we, and for power. These people are power hungry, and they just, they want to make all this money. And so we pray that he would be protected against these people. And may he rise and be successful and be the catapult Africa needs for African resistance on the continent, in the Caribbean, the Americas, and Europe, and worldwide. Ashe, 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 ashe. Oh.
If you're talking, they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So tell they hear you. You can do it if you try.
I'm a St. Cia student. Of course I walk into the sound of drums.
I'm a St. Cia student. Of course I know my mother.
I'm a St. Cia student. Of course I can play the drum.
I'm a St. Cia student. Of course I can work with my hands.
I'm a St. Cia student.
Oh,